There's a lot of articles out there now starting to pop up in videos about how the Xbox is doomed because of Crackdown 3 being delayed, and I can understand their thought process there because, well, it's going to be tough to launch the Xbox One X without any real good back catalog that is readily available now. Like, sure, Halo Wars 2 came out, great. Dead Rising 4 came out, that's fine, but neither of those were big system pushers. Neither of those were games that people were out there looking for Xboxes just to get that game, mostly because they're also available, well, on the PC. But the Xbox One X is coming up, and a lot of people were assuming that Crackdown 3 would be there for that system, just to help it along and give people a reason to buy an Xbox One X. Because looking at something like Crackdown, that will probably run much better on the X than it will on the regular Xbox One. And now, of course, it's delayed into 2018. And a lot of these articles are writing Xbox off completely, saying that it has no chance to ever come back, which realistically it probably doesn't have any chance the rest of this generation. But they're also saying things like Microsoft should sell off the Xbox brand, which isn't a good idea. Microsoft should definitely hold on to that brand. In fact, I think they would rather bury the Xbox brand and just keep it rather than sell it off and have someone else represent that brand. But let's talk a little bit about the woes of really the Xbox situation right now, because there are some issues right now, big issues, going forward for the Xbox brand. In fact, these issues have pushed it down to the bottom of the sales charts. At this point, the Xbox isn't dead last every month coming out now, especially even in the MPDs where it shouldn't be. It's a US-based system, and it can't sell more than something like the Switch or the PS4 in the MPDs here in America. And it's not even like it missed the mark by a couple units, like maybe the Switch and the PS4 outsold it by like 30 or 40,000 units. It didn't make the top three apparently, and the 3DS was there at 105,000 units. There's a chance the Xbox One did fall below 100,000 units, which is a really big deal. That goes back to 2014, which is right around the time investors were putting a lot of pressure on the new CEO to sell off the Xbox brand. Yes, that's right. Back in 2014, investors surrounding Microsoft were putting a ton of pressure on the newly named CEO to cut off. They wanted to cut off the Xbox brand, the Bing brand, and they wanted to cut off the Surface line of devices because, in their mind, costing too much money, not generating enough profit. And that's tough because when you put it next to something like Windows, which generates massive amounts of money. However, the CEO decided to keep the Xbox brand and push forward with it. And it was around that time, a few years later, that we saw, well, this Play Anywhere initiative start up, right? Where if you have a game and you bought it on the Xbox or you bought it on the Windows Store, you can go between the two. You can play it on your Xbox, you can play it on your PC. And this kind of had them redefine the word exclusives. In fact, they're not even called exclusives anymore. In their last E3 meeting, they had to turn it into something called console exclusives, something you can play on the Xbox One console, but not on the PlayStation 4 console. But you can also play it on the PC. And above all else, I think this is the Xbox's main problem, because Microsoft is pretty much trying to merge their Windows gaming and their Xbox gaming, because it's much easier to report these numbers as just gaming across the board, and they believe that if they're selling to one person who has, say, an Xbox, they will go out and buy a computer that has Windows on it to also play that game. Except I don't think that's how it works. I think most people who are buying these games on the computer don't have an Xbox, and they don't plan on buying an Xbox for convenience, I guess you would say. They would leave an Xbox upstairs, they would have their PC downstairs, especially with game streaming becoming bigger and things like Steam Link showing up. There's really no reason to buy an Xbox just to play the same game from your computer upstairs. In fact, I think most people would probably rather, especially if they have a gaming computer, build another gaming computer, since then they don't have to pay for Xbox Live, which is a massive turnoff for any PC gamer to have to turn around and pay for an online service that they don't have to pay for on their computer, and it ends up being $60 a year. That actually adds up pretty well. Let's say you have a gaming computer for 3 or 4 years, that ends up being anywhere between $180 and $240 extra dollars that you wouldn't have to be paying for your computer. In fact, that money could go into component upgrades down the line. And I think to an extent, Microsoft is kind of underestimating really the power of the PC gamer when it comes to buying consoles, because yes, PC gamers still buy consoles if they need to. That's the big thing. If they need to. They need to buy a PS4 if they want to play something like Persona 5. Sure, it's also on the PS3, but at that point, you're probably going to buy the PS4, and then you can also play other games that aren't available, like Horizon Zero Dawn, Neo. There's a bunch of games really that are on the PS4 that you can't play on your computer, and that's really a driving force. The Switch, same deal. There's a lot of games coming out on the Switch coming up soon. Mario Odyssey, obviously, is going to be a big driving force for the Switch. You can't play that on your computer. So guess what? Now the person who is a hardcore PC gamer is going to go out and buy a Switch, for example, so they can play Mario Odyssey, or they're going to go out and they're going to buy a PS4 so they can play Uncharted Lost Legacy. And this is where Microsoft is in a really tough spot, at least the Xbox division, because they pretty much know at this point with the promises that they've made, there's no way that they can really take a game and only put it on the Xbox and not on the PC. but then they're also cutting off really a good audience that could be purchasing the Xbox. It's a weird situation, and it's definitely not one I would want to be in. In fact, I'm pretty confident that if they do take Halo and bring out Halo 6 anytime soon, it will also be on the PC, and that would be a big deal. That would be a really big deal, because that is the one game that is really, I still think, a big blockbuster game that can move systems that will then be moving over to the PC for the first time in tandem, really, with their Xbox counterpart. That is a big deal if that happens, and I kind of hope it doesn't. Halo is a game I'd like to see stay on the Xbox brand, right? I think they can do that. I think they can take 1 or 2 or even 3 games and say, look, I know we're doing the whole Play Anywhere initiative, but these games are only on the Xbox. That's just the way it is. You have to go buy an Xbox, and you know what? People will go buy an Xbox for the new Halo if it's not on the PC. Now, if Microsoft does want to push forward with the Play Anywhere initiative, they can, because they'll still make money from their Windows side and their Xbox side. They just have to understand that they're not going to, at least them and fans have to understand that the Xbox will never be at the top of charts then, because they just won't have the customer base that the PS4 and the Switch will. Really, at that point, if they're content with every game coming out on both sides, Microsoft will still make good money because they're selling on Windows Store and they're selling on the Xbox, but they're not going to move the units forward that really they would want. You know, they're not going to sell the 300, 400,000 systems in the month of, I don't know, September, like maybe they would have years ago. And that's just not, it's just the way it's going to be from now on if that's the case. And you know, if they want to do that, that's fine. They can do that. Just don't expect big numbers. I think that's one of the big reasons Microsoft just stopped reporting Xbox numbers. They've done that for a while. Ever since they started really losing badly to the PS4, we just don't hear about numbers anymore. That's the way it is. They know, hey, we just won't release these kind of numbers much anymore. And now it's up to analysts to pretty much estimate and try to figure out how many Xboxes are out there. And that's bad when the other 2 competitors like Sony and Nintendo are just outright saying, we're selling this many systems. And trust me, if Microsoft is quiet about the numbers that their Xbox division is putting out, they're not ones to brag about them. So the Play Anywhere initiative is a big thing that Microsoft needs to pick and choose if they want their Xbox to start moving out the door more. Like if they want to sell more systems, pick and choose your moments with Play Anywhere. You don't have to put every game on the PC and on the Xbox. It's not the same. You can even make it a timed exclusive, right? This game is only available on the Xbox for the first 3 months, and then it'll become available on Windows. That may have some people who just don't want to wait, just go out and do that. You're going to see that with something like Destiny 2 even, where it's only available on the PS4 and the Xbox, and then it'll be on the PC later. I'm going to buy it on the PS4, and then I'm going to buy it later on the PC as well, because I want to be able to play it right away. Another thing Microsoft needs to do, they need to do 2 things. They need to push what their competition does not have right now, and that is device compatibility across all of the Xbox lines, right? Right now, you can play Xbox Original, Xbox 360, and Xbox One all on the same system, but you don't hear about it as often as I feel like you should. Like, they put it out there, but they really need to do some big marketing campaign where they're like, every generation of the Xbox is here. It's available in this box. I had to several times remind people that you can play 360 games on your Xbox One when I was selling games every day at game stores. Every day, people would come in, and I have to remind them that the 360 does work on your Xbox One. Then I'd have to go online, I had to get a list to show them which ones work. And there are some interesting marketing things that people have probably missed that have been going on really in the past, I'd say, couple of months, where something like Bully came out. Believe it or not, they re-released Bully on the Xbox One, but when you open it up, it was a 360 disc, and that's because it worked. It said you need internet on the front, but it worked. You popped it in, and Bully would come up after it downloaded the game, essentially, and you were off. That was such a cool idea that I think they should start doing that more, at least pushing forward that the 360 and the original Xbox all work on this one system. You can buy the system and it's 3 systems. And it's something the competition does not have. Sony will not have backwards compatibility with the PS3. They made a mistake with that cell processor. The PS4 now will not be emulating that cell processor ever. Like, it's just not going to happen. It's such a weird, really weird processor that they would have to redesign the games from the ground up like they have with God of War 3 and The Last of Us, rather than just say, hey, it's backwards compatible, pop it in and download it. They also just need to stress, I don't like these half-step consoles, but Microsoft is going to have the most powerful system. They need to let people know that it is the most powerful console on the planet. Like, they need to use verbiage like that. This is the most powerful system in history. You need to buy this because it's that powerful. They need to have really an understanding that it's a premium product, not that it's a toy that plays games. They need to really feel like this system is like space age. And trust me, the mainstream consumer would believe something like that if you told them that. It's just the way they think. If you tell them it is that much better than its competition, the price at $500, while high, will at least start to become, well, it'll become justified in their mind that, yeah, maybe I should buy this system because I think I'm getting more for my money. I might not be able to recognize 4K or even super sample 4K, but they're telling me it's that good. It's the best system on the entire planet, in the universe. Don't even say planet. This is the best system in the universe. Seriously, marketing is that easy to get to people and make them think that they are getting their money's worth despite this system playing mostly the same games on the other platform for third parties and the same games that are on PC. Then obviously games, Microsoft needs to go out, and if they don't have really the studios in the background right now working on games, which I think they do. I think there are games that we don't know about right now that are being worked on. Deals are hopefully being made in the background, and if they're not, Microsoft needs to go out and start making deals now. Not even for this generation, because if they're going to start making deals now, it's going to be for the next generation. Not now. It's going to be for 3 years from now when they're working on the Xbox 2, if that's what they want to call it, which would be dumb, I think. But if they want to make the Xbox 2 and they want to really just get out of this generation as fast as they can, they'll release the Xbox One X, and then 2 years later, we'll hear about the Xbox 2. And at that point, they need to have games ready to go, and I'm talking about games of all different genres, not just shooters, right? Not just action games. Get things like RPGs in there. Get things like real-time strategy games that have Eastern influence. Start to really work on that Japanese market again. They seem to have forgotten about it. They're selling 80 to 90 Xbox systems a week in Japan. Try to up that to a couple thousand a week at least, you know, try to push up to that mark. And then you'll start to see extra systems come in that you weren't in the past, right? I mean, really, the PS4 has sold over 5 million systems in Japan. Microsoft wants those 5 million systems in Japan. That's just the way it is. But they can't get it. They have like 80-something thousand lifetime in Japan. Something that the PS4 and the Switch have been able to completely eclipse in 1 week. And lastly, for those saying that Microsoft should just sell the brand off, they won't ever do that. If anything, what I would see them doing is keeping the brand and having someone else develop the system, like Dell, or you know how they like put their operating system on people on these computers, but they don't build the computers other companies do. They would probably do that. They would say, look, we have the OS, it all works fine. You don't have to develop any of the OS. Tell us what you're working on. We'll develop it further for that, and then we'll work from there. They would never just get rid of the brand, I think, because they would still want to have a hand in the software for that system. That's really how it is. They would either bury it, they would license it, really the brand, or they'd keep going like they probably will. I don't think we're going to have them get rid of the Xbox brand or step back from the game console, really the game console world for a while. They would have to fail another generation for that to happen. And really, 35 or so million Xbox Ones can be spun as a positive despite the PS4 really killing it, obviously, at like 63 million or so. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Xbox One situation right now and things I think Microsoft can do to improve. It's going to be interesting to see going forward, especially since we have Gamescom starting with Microsoft's live stream tomorrow, where they're going to get out ahead of everybody and do a live stream. I hope there's something more there than the Xbox One X pre-order, really the green light for pre-orders. I hope there are games. I keep hearing about Age of Empires. I would like to see that come back, but that's not really a game that the younger crowd is going to get behind. That's definitely for older people like me who remember playing that on my old computer. But still, it would be cool to see them announce some new games that aren't just for other systems as well. Make something for the Xbox that is just for the Xbox, and then add in another game that you can also play on the PC. Try it and see what happens. See if all of a sudden more Xboxes sell. I'm curious what your thoughts are, though. What do you think the Xbox can do to become a better system and sell more and really get back in the game here? Because I do think right now the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4 from Sony are in better places. They just seem to be wanted more by gamers, and the games seem better overall because they have a better first-party lineup right now. But I'm curious what your thoughts are and what Microsoft can do here going forward to become a successful brand with their Xbox, get back in the top of the NPD charts, and really push forward to the next generation. Because the problem is obviously nothing to do with hardware at this point, because the Xbox One X, the most powerful system, it's coming out. But what do you guys think? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.